3, 2, 1.
What is going on, Southwest? This is your man, Brandon Medina. Welcome to another very special episode of Scoreboard, your premier podcast for all Southwest ISD athletics, everything from football to cross-country, tennis, volleyball, baseball, basketball, and more. We are talking a lot about football because we are in the playoffs. We're not talking about practice no more. This is about playoffs, playoff standings, Southwest and Legacy. Both will be there. However, only one is playing at home. We'll be breaking down all the matchups as today when this podcast comes out. Legacy will be going to Corpus Christi. So we'll talk about that one. And then we have Southwest taking on Victoria West, which is going to be a very fun one there. So without further ado, we'll get the show started. I do have a very special guest, Mr. Jesse Garcia, the Executive Director of Community Relations for the entire district. Sir, how are you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Really excited that both of our high schools are in the playoffs yet again. I know the third straight year, but that record go back a little further for Southwest High School. So really excited about that. Yeah.
So as it stands right now in district, Southwest held pat, and they're now the second place in district. Overall, when it comes to the district standings, you have Southside at number 1. Southwest, Southwest Legacy, and then Medina Valley. So it's going to be a really tight-knit one. You've seen all those names have kind of been the people who are normally always there. You know what I mean? I think Southside has kind of grown into a program that has been very dominant over the last few years. I know you and I off the show have talked about how just, what was it, last year or 2 years ago, their quarterback went to play in Nebraska. And so, I mean, they're pushing out D1 prospects where maybe they weren't before. But Southwest and Southwest Legacy, like I said, the number 2 and 3 seeds. So since it is today's Thursday when the show is coming out, Southwest Legacy, like I said, 3rd in district, and they are going to be in the playoffs. However, they do not have the benefit of playing at home. So they lost in the Fire and Armor Bowl, which was a massive success. Jesse and I, we kind of helped put that together for the community and stuff. And I just wanted to take a second to talk about how awesome that was. The service project was great. It was a huge success, as it was last year, which benefited all of our needs at our student outreach services and the food pantry. And so, Jesse, what does that kind of mean? The Fire and Armor, being that we're already a week removed, what does that kind of movement mean now that we're already in the 5th edition of that?
So, yeah, for everyone who joined us out to the Fire and Armor Bowl, our 5th annual Fire and Armor Bowl, we had over 7,000 people there. So it was very well attended.
Yep.
Not a lot of folks know that there's a service project that goes along with the Fire and Armor Bowl, which is really exciting. As important as the final score is in the game, that service project is to our community. We're proud to say that over the last 5 years, that service project, all of our students and faculty and community have helped donate over 30 tons of food back to the Southwest ISD community. That's huge. That gives us a chance to help our own families here in-house. Of course, the food bank, San Antonio Food Bank, is a great resource. But when we have My Brother's Keeper, which is our food pantry here locally, that we can have this resource available to all of our families, it means a lot. And so along with the score in the game and, of course, all the excitement that goes with all of our student athletes and performers that night, there's that service project. And that service project has really become one of the key parts to the week for Fire and Armor Bowl. So we're really excited at the outcome, but we're excited for the future. We know that everyone has slowly learning this tradition that we're building here at Southwest ISD. And over the years, it's only going to get bigger. And so for the first 5 years, 30 tons of food. Can't imagine how many families that has helped. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, I know last year when we did it, we had another huge success, and I know that it was we were told as a team that it helped benefit into the holidays, which is a huge time of need for families. So it's awesome. The Fire and Armor, if you weren't able to join us, obviously it happens every year. We'll have the 6th one next year, but we do have a full week of events from our Trial of Champions to a bunch of service project stuff going on, and then as well as some other sports. Sometimes volleyball falls into it. Sometimes we have our trunk or treat this year fell into it. So it's always a fun week of stuff. But going forward with our playoffs, let's talk a little bit. Let's break down this game a little bit. So Legacy versus Corpus Christi Miller. Miller looks really, really solid as a team in every single stat. Legacy is going to be the underdog from rushing yards, passing yards, total yards, every single stat. Miller As far as now, has that edge. So overall, Miller is 9-1, 6-1 in district. They are absolute beasts. So check this out. For Legacy, the points for Legacy is 235 over the course of this season. For Miller, it's 471. So they're a team that likes to get out and score very quickly and score in bunches. The points against are almost very similar. So both are very defensively minded. However, we saw at the Fire and Armor Bowl, Legacy's offense took a little bit to kind of get going. I think Coach Bruce will get that message across very well to make sure that they come out hot. But Miller, 471 points over the course of this season versus 235 for Legacy. You're talking about a team that definitely likes to go out and dominate games. What do you think is a huge thing for Legacy to focus on coming off that Fire and Armor?
Well, I mean, we're here in San Antonio, right? So we don't get to see Corpus Christi Miller play a lot. Those of you who have know that Corpus Christi Miller loves to play a spread formation. They play fast. It's a hurry up tempo. They throw the ball a lot. They don't give you a chance to substitute a whole heck of a lot because they don't substitute. And so it's a very fast-paced game. So they like to get up and down the field. They believe in their mind, and they're averaging almost 40-something points. They believe in their mind that they're going to put up 50 points every game. So if you score 30, that's fine. Whoever wins a turnover battle is going to have that ball at the end, and they're going to get a chance to score some points. So, you know, it's going to be tough for Legacy, but if they can minimize some possessions, if they can run the football and kind of play keep away from Corpus Christi Miller, always got a shot. You know, it's football, man. You got a shot.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of 49-7s here, 55-0, 56-0. They did play the Victoria West and East teams, which Victoria West we'll get into later against Southwest. Victoria East, though, Miller beat them 66-21, and then Victoria West 41-18. So every single game they've played is basically 44, 45 and up. So there's a reason that they're up there with the standings as far as points scored against opponents. So this team, like I said, likes to score a lot. However, breaking down their players, you mentioned it, Jesse, they like to pass, and they really, really do. Trevor Long, who is their quarterback, is averaging about 176 passing yards. They also have a offensive lineman, Jesus Martinez. The national average for pancake blocks a game is 6. This kid's averaging 10. So this offensive line looks to be very legit. Very legit. And then they also have a really good running back as well, Corey Holmes, averaging about 90 yards per game as well. So they have a lot of defensive-minded players here. There's somebody averaging almost 1.5 sacks per game, Delson Cavanis. And then you have LaMarcus Cullum, who's averaging about 9 tackles per game. I mean, this is a very well-rounded team. And obviously, Southwest Legacy comes in as the huge underdog. When it comes to away, their away record Legacy is 2-3. So definitely looking to build off of that, hopefully, and be better. Coach Bruce, I know, is a guy that's very meticulous with how he game plans. And I think with this one, like you said, if you can slow down the pace of play, they're a running team already. If you can kind of just get your 4 to 5 yards and just keep the game slow and at a pace where Miller can't get out, that might be the biggest benefit to that Legacy team.
And, you know, I think one of the keys for Legacy is you're going to have to keep them honest too, right? So, you know, run, right? You know, but big wedge left, big wedge right, whatever we're running. But it's going to be important to take some shots over the top because Corpus Christi Miller does cheat a little bit. You know, they bring their guys in close. They're playing close to the line of scrimmage. They know a lot of teams wanted to run the ball on them because they want to eat up clock. So you want to keep them honest, man. You want to take a couple shots down the field and see if you can't catch them sleeping. But I do think it's going to be really important for Southwest Legacy to really play discipline. They run a lot of spread offense, very West Coast. They love to mix in some RPO. You got to stay very disciplined on those. You know, as Coach Belichick said once, you know, I don't need you to be great. I don't need you to do everybody else's job. I just need you to do your job.
Correct.
And that's going to be important for our guys to play their gaps and try not to do too much and keep the ball in front of them.
Yeah, so, I mean, you have Nathaniel Ibarra over there who's averaging about 9 tackles a game. You have Juan De La Rosa averaging a sack a game. So the defense is there. Then you have Fabian Ramos, who might be one of, if not the most explosive player here in the southwest side of the city at least. He has 81 rushing yards per game, 205 passing yards per game. He is Legacy's plan A, B, and C when it comes to offense. So obviously getting him hot, getting him comfortable, and that offensive line. This battle is going to be one of the trenches, 100%. Like I said, their best offensive lineman's averaging 10 pancake blocks a game. That means your defensive ends need to be shooting off that gap very quickly, because if not, it seems like if you get caught up, you're going to the ground with this guy. So that that trench battle is going to be where this game is won, and I think Legacy has a chance, man. I mean, like you said, it's football at all times. Miller has only lost one game, but they dropped it to another Corpus Christi team, which has not been very good as far as football goes. They lost actually to Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial, who I believe Southwest or Legacy had played last year in the schedule. But Corpus Christi's already dropped one. You got to kind of humble them. You got to go in there with that David and Goliath mindset for sure. So we're wishing the Titans the best. And then we'll talk more about football when it comes to Southwest. So 17th year in a row, Jesse. This is it. Playoffs, 17 years in a row. What does that stat mean to this community? What does football in general mean to Southwest as a whole?
You know, I think that stat stands out a lot, especially in this community, because we know after the 10 weeks are up, we're going to keep playing football around here. You know, we're going to get another week. We're going to get another 2 weeks, another 3 weeks of football, and the community has come to expect it, which says a lot about our program, says a lot about our kids, our coaches, our staff, the way that we have kind of continued this tradition over the years. I mean, it's a big deal, and I know community gets really fired up about it. You know, whenever we have our games, the fans come out and support Southwest High School. It's just something that has become expected in this community over the last couple of years. So it's really exciting. You know, it's exciting that the season has ended for so many schools around the city of San Antonio. But here in the Southwest community, we're going to keep playing football, baby.
Yep, absolutely. In Southwest as a whole, I will say the season started off real slow. So the first game of the season was against Lockhart and Floresville. Southwest dropped both of those, right? They went 0-2, come back and beat Martin, and then had Southside the next week after. So they were 1-3 in the first 4 games. Since Friday, September 16th, Southwest has not lost a game. So Southwest is on a streak of all streaks. They are on a 6-game winning streak currently, and so they are 7-3. And the most important part is they are 7-1 in district, and their only loss is to the head honchos over there in Southside, which are number 1 in district. So Southwest has truly been extremely competitive, and they ran a gauntlet, man. They had Medina Valley, South San, which is always a competitive one. You know that one, Jesse. And then you had Sigaroa, who was up there in the standings as well for a long time, and then Legacy as well, which was not only the partner school, our brother, sister school, whatever you want to call it, but Legacy as a whole could have vaulted Southwest in that win. So if Legacy wins last week, we're having a completely different conversation, and it's Southwest Dragons going to Corpus and Legacy staying at home. So that was a huge game. But looking at the preview, they do play Victoria West. Victoria West is 5-5 and 5-2 in district. So Victoria West definitely is going to be the underdog here. Southwest is favored. However, Victoria West looks really, really competitive in a very similar fashion. So let me just break down these stats real quick for you. You have Kamari Montgomery for Victoria West averaging 118 rushing yards per game. And then their passing game, Camden Repper has 177, but total 218 total yards per game because he's also a moving, evading quarterback. He can break off a few runs, it looks like. And then they have a lot of really good defensive players, whereas Southwest, everything goes through Brian Lisama, 110 yards per game for rushing. PJ Ramos is starting to get things going. But that defensive side is where things really look good. You have Hudson McKendrick with 10 tackles per game. That kid, Polo Salazar, he is ready to roll. He was just nominated for Player of the Week this week. I think he did have a absolutely balled out this past week. I want to say I'll get the stats for you. But Polo Salazar, best name on the stat sheet. I love his name, Polo. But the kid's no joke, man. He goes on offense. He's a great defensive player. And I talked with Coach Franco, and he said he's just a dog, man. That guy just really is a competitive guy when it comes to being on the field and being in the locker room with his brother. So Southwest, Victoria West, what do you think about this one, Jesse? What are you thinking about the matchup, and how important is it for the Southwest Dragons to have the community behind their side being at home?
Well, first, big shout out to Polo Salazar. If you haven't already gotten on Vipe and voted for the Player of the Week, please get out there. I know we pushed out the link. Vote for Polo Salazar. Let's get him as our Player of the Week. He definitely deserves it. He's great on defense, and you're right. You know, Southside and Southwest, two hottest team in this division. Southside, I believe, has run off 8 in a row, and Southwest has run off 6 in a row. Southwest is really peaking at the right time. If you know anything about football, it doesn't matter how you start; it matters how you finish. And so, right now, Southwest High School is peaking. They have a very strong running game. I mean, that's the strategy, right? You can get up there against these guys, against Victoria, and you're just going to run the ball. You're just going to run it down their throats, and let's just see. Are they going to be able to stop? Are they going to be able to stop the running game, or are they not? And of course, you're going to keep them honest, right? You're going to take a couple shots over the top, mix in some RPO. But that's the one thing Victoria does. Their offense is really just based on RPO and running. Don't have a big passing game, and so they really are going to have to. It's going to be one of those games of wills, right? And so like anything else, penalties and turnovers can determine the outcome. Can happen to anybody. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So Polo Salazar last game, Fire and Armor. What a way to step up! 14 total tackles, 6 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a fumble recovery. Just absolutely tore it up, and I think they're expecting the same against Victoria West. I will say, interesting note here. Both have not played each other in district. They're non-district teams. So in non-district games, Victoria West is 0-3 and Southwest is 0-2, dating back to those first 2 games in district play. So definitely when they're not familiar with each other, they kind of struggle a little bit. But both have struggled early on. So with that, at home though, Southwest is 4-1. And Victoria West is 2-3 away. So definitely something to look forward to as far as if you want to follow into stats or look into records and base of play. That's definitely something to look at. Southwest, Victoria West, the battle of the West Side schools, I guess, when it comes to the South Side. Victoria West is a scoring team, though. 359 points for. However, they allow very much points against them. 283 points against, where Southwest, one of the lowest points against their team in the entire district, 160 points only allowed over the entire past 10 games. So they really pride themselves on this defense. And in district play, I mean, they've been solid. Like you said, they're getting hot at the right time. What are you envisioning for both of these matchups? Legacy going into Corpus, can they pull it off? Let's start there.
Well, I think with Legacy, like we said, they're going to have to really play disciplined football down there.
Yeah.
Corpus Christi, they're a good team. They're a good team. They spread the ball. They like to go fast. You got to slow them down. So if there's a strategy, I'm sure the coaches have talked about it. You really have got to slow that machine down, right? And so gap control is going to be really important, but I also think just good assignment football is going to be good. And when you get the ball, you got to put some drives together and get down the field over there and get some points on the board because they are going to score no matter what. So hard fought, but Legacy's got a shot out there. You always got a shot.
Yeah, I think so. So let's root for Legacy to go down into Corpus and continue moving on in their third year in a row in the playoffs. This team started off just 5 years ago, very, very young, and then just last year was fighting for district. I mean, they're well coached. They are a very good team, and PJ Ramos is no joke. So with that, Southwest versus Victoria West, what are you thinking here? You thinking Southwest is going to be able to pull it out at home?
Well, first, to everyone who knows me knows I love the weather. And so tomorrow morning, we're going to get a big old change, right? Our first big cold front of the year is going to blow through tomorrow. It's going to change it up. So we're going to go from 80s and humid to 45, 49 degrees by kickoff time. And so it's going to be chilly out there. The wind's going to be blowing.
Gotcha.
That'll be a factor. So I know both teams are really going to want to run the ball. With the wind blowing 25, 30 miles an hour, you're probably going to want to keep that on the ground. And so whoever makes the least amount of mistakes, definitely going to have the best chance. But, man, you got to be pulling for Southwest High School. That's their bread and butter right now. They can really power that and play smash mouth football. And I don't expect that strategy to change, B-Money. I think it's just going to look a lot like that. I mean, I just think they're going to have these sustained drives. They're going to get points, and their defense has given up less than 20 points in almost every game this year. So, hey, man, give yourself a chance. I think they definitely can. They
have played that same smash mouth football for 17th years, and it hasn't done them wrong. I mean, 17-year playoff experience. This is one of the longest playoff privileges for any school in the city, I want to say. I mean, I don't know another record that stands against it. I mean, I'm sure there's a few, but 17 years on the south side, southwest side of the city is incredibly impressive, especially when just a few years back you were playing Steele and Brandeis and Brennan. I mean, you had East Central. You had a lot of good teams in the city, and they were still making the playoffs. So with that, we want to recognize both of those squads, send them the absolute best of luck as well. And then also we want to just wish our cross-country state participants who were there, Alicia and Anthony. They did awesome. I believe Anthony was 13th out of like 151 or something like that. And I mean, the kid is super talented. Alicia's very talented too. I think she's finished 44th Both of them, I believe, are sophomores or juniors, so they have years to grow. And I know you being a runner, I'm sure you're excited to see where this cross-country team for Legacy continues to move on.
And you said it best, man. Sophomores. I mean, these kids are only going to get better, man.
Yeah.
Give them a couple more years, and I'm sure they'll be competing, nationally in cross country. So, I mean, definitely good. But I do want to, before we jump off, encourage the community to please come out. It takes a lot to earn that home playoff game.
Yep.
And Southwest High School has definitely got it. And so, it's hard fought. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. Come on out and see. Don't let the weather scare you. Also, I'd be remiss if we didn't take a second and honor our veterans. So all of our active and retired military, tomorrow's Veterans Day. We definitely want to make sure that we recognize all of our veterans, because freedom is not free, as someone said this morning, and I know that that's true. And we live in a military communities. To all of our veterans, if you didn't get your T-shirt, we'll get one out to you. But we definitely want everyone to come out to the game tomorrow. And to all of our veterans, thank you for your service. Greatly appreciated, especially in this community.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that, that's Jesse Garcia. I am Brandon Medina. One last thing, if you are a member, a parent, a student, whatever of Southwest, the Southwest ISD app is available. Make sure you go out and get that. That's going to be really cool. So we do have an app now. We have become the modern rendition of schooling. And with that, it is available to download free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. You can get updates, read news, read social media, all that great stuff. Go check it out. The Southwest ISD app is available. For Jesse Garcia, I am Brandon Medina. This has been another episode of Scoreboard. We'll talk to you next time. And like always, we are Southwest.